Hello, 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 and welcome to yet another, the first TRC podcast of 2022. How does it feel, Anthony?
It's amazing, Dane. I can't believe we're into a new year.
Yeah.
Sorry, just trying to strap my mic in.
I know new year, new me, but I'm feeling like new year, same me, with some upgrades, some improvements, some, adaptations for the coming year.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing what this year has in store. Hopefully, more positives than negatives, because as we move further and further away from 2020, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't seem like we're getting far enough away.
No, not yet. 2021 just felt like 2020, the sequel. So we need to move out of this, IP and into a whole new series. We need to start something new. Need to do something fresh. Yeah, we really gotta get out of that. Now, I'm gonna address the elephant in the room, or rather, the elephant not in the room. Levi isn't here. He's not feeling great, so we're giving him his time away, and hopefully, he feels better soon. So, all those of you watching, listening right now, please send your well wishes to Levi and his family, and make sure he's doing all right. You can send him a message.
I agree. I'm hoping he starts feeling better. We'll see. Maybe he's back here for Wednesday, maybe for Thursday, and we'll go from there. But Dane, I'm not gonna lie, that shirt is very captivating.
Yes.
I keep looking over at it because it's hilarious.
It says Christmas tree at the bottom, but it's more like, oh, Christmas tree. Because when you get a Christmas tree on your dashboard, it's not a good time.
It's not a good thing, right? And I like that. That's definitely
That's how I learned about the alternator issue in my van that I'm having fixed tomorrow, hopefully.
Hopefully, right? Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
We do have the Master of Shine actually in the comments here saying thanks, gang. We hope Levi starts feeling better. We don't know what today looks like for him, but hopefully it's maybe a little bit more relaxed, right?
Yeah.
Be able to hang out, enjoy some things. Maybe take a dip into his garage freezer solution package.
Oh, I thought you were about to say his pool, and I'm thinking, that thing is frozen. No, for sure.
It's actually packed up. He takes it down every year.
Like a responsible pool owner of an above-ground pool would.
Of course.
Of which there are maybe like 5 in the whole world who actually do that. Everyone else just leaves it out there and it gets destroyed by the weather.
Probably not. You're probably not wrong there, Dane. But I think that he probably dipping into that ice cold freezer, pulling out some type of delicious ice cream, to keep his throat nice and cool, right? Yeah. During a
little fisherman's friend ought to help.
Ooh, actually, that's kind of gross. The idea of a fisherman's friend and an ice cream.
It's
kind of sickening.
Put the two together, fisherman's friend ice cream. Wow, we really started this show off weird. You're welcome.
So, housekeeping, right?
Housekeeping.
New year,
Let's
new
do
us, new year, same old us. So a couple of things we need to cover, right? End of the year. It's you guys already know. End of the year, it's the Grand Ambassador. The Grand Ambassador announcement, right? So we're going to be announcing the Grand Ambassador of the year, but then we're also going to be announcing the new Grand Ambassadors for 2022 Q1. Yes. 10 new lucky winners. Just crazy. It's just crazy that we're already here. So 2022, things that we're looking forward to here within the next couple of months. Obviously, TRC, being able to see all of our friends and family and everybody, kind of in between that gets to join us for these momentous events, these amazing events. And then anything new besides that, Dane, that you want to point out? Anything new for the channel? Because as of January 1st, a new channel did kind of launch.
We did have a new channel appear on the horizon. If, for example, you are fluent in Spanish, you might be interested to know that we now have TRC in Espanol.
Ooh.
So it's a Spanish language, the Rag Company channel, and it is going to be popping up on the related channels on all of our other channels. So I'll be handling that this afternoon, making sure that it appears everywhere it's supposed to. But go check it out. The logo has our logo, and that's kind of like a darker blue background. It says Espanol underneath the logo. That's how you're going to know you got the right one. And it's one. It's one all over that thing.
It is
so that's fun. But we got one video on there currently, plus a trailer to let people know what's up. But that's a way to kind of get introduced to it. And going forward, you're going to be finding pretty much all of our Spanish language content is going to be appearing there. So I want to make sure that all of our friends who speak Spanish and would prefer to watch videos that are done in Spanish as opposed to English, say English is a second language, or it's not quite, the thing that you feel natural listening to, we got a Spanish option for you now. So that's really cool. And what we're going to try and do is make sure that when we release a video on that channel, we have a corresponding video on our English channel so that there's some overlap. That way, unless there's special occasions where we only have the ability to, say, shoot an English language video that's something kind of timely where we only have a specific time frame to do it, that'll be the exception. But we will try and offer some overlap so that, like, the really important videos, the product test videos, stuff like that, appear on both channels so that you're able to get either or. And that way no one feels like they're missing out.
Yeah. True.
So, yeah, I want to make sure and address that. The other thing I want to point out, and obviously it should go without saying, but I'll say it right now, go subscribe to that channel. If Spanish is your primary language and you want to watch videos in that format, go subscribe to that channel. You won't regret it. Now, for other stuff, I put a trailer because when you do these live streams, you can put a trailer, as long as it's less than 3 minutes on YouTube, in front of a video. I noticed a lot of the information may be outdated, the dates, that kind of thing, but it's about TRC. I put it there, and this was the original trailer we had for TRC 2020. And cool. Granted, the actual dates and everything are obviously different going into TRC this upcoming March here, but a lot of the other information about like who's involved, how it works, all that stuff was relevant. So I put that there, and I just wanted to make sure people were aware of it and knew that it was coming here at the end of March here in 2022. So you can look forward to that from the end of March right to the beginning of April. There will be a whole week there where we are knocking out a ton of live stream content with some of your favorite people from around the industry, all here in the studio. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be
so I want to make sure everybody is, just aware of that. So I put that at the beginning of this just to get people a little amped up until we can actually make a specific trailer just for that purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's exciting, though. I mean, the TRC coming up, the new Spanish channel, and then also, Dane, I need you to cover the fact that we're going to be doing our Q&As, right? And they disappear.
Yes. So that's another thing. We talked about this on the last Q&A of 2021, obviously. That was last Thursday. But in case you missed it, this is where I'm going to get you up to speed on how this whole thing is working. So, just so you understand, Q&As are not moving away from the main Rag Company channel. However, you will notice a little bit different placement going forward as far as timing. So, when they're live, they will happen live just as they always have at 2 p.m. on Thursdays on the main Rag Company channel. Then after that, there will probably be a 12 to 24-hour period where it's still up there, having live streamed long enough for YouTube to process it on the background to make a downloadable version, in which case we download that version, we make that Q&A private on the channel, so it disappears from our, listings of all the videos we've done, and we upload it over on the Rag Company podcast YouTube channel. And the reasoning for this is so that it kind of cleans up our feed. Personally, I could go either way on this, but I know people like Anthony are extreme sticklers for presentation when it comes to the feed, such as like an Instagram feed or a YouTube feed, stuff like that. I think it's a mixed bag as far as who looks at it, but I do agree. It cleans it up visually so that there's a little more interesting stuff going on instead of random stuff. Oh, the Q&A every time. It's like consistently looks the same with a slightly different picture in the background. I get how that can get a little confusing for people. So we're just going to be making those private on the back end of the main Rag Company channel after they've been live. So if you show up for the live one, you'll catch everything. You're not missing anything. It'll just go private from there, and then it will be uploaded onto the Rag Company podcast channel within 24 hours of having aired. And that's where you'll be able to watch it in the future if you miss one. So I just want to make sure everybody understands very clearly that's how it's going to work. And as far as listening to it in the future, don't worry about it. If you listen on a podcast platform, whether it's Stitcher or Apple Podcasts, anything like that, you're going to be able to get it just fine. It's going to be in the same spot as always. That's not changing. Yeah. So, that's really all I have to say about that.
Okay. Well, that's pretty good, right? Good information, right?
Yeah,
we need to just kind of get that stuff out there because we just don't want people to being confused and thinking that we're just disappearing, because that's not true. So, anyways, back on topic here. So we have just some things to cover today, really, with kind of, what we did over the weekend, right? We already talked about our New Year's resolutions last week on Thursday. Kind of talked about some of the things that we're wanting to do for the new year, a couple of things that we looked back on from 2021 that we felt like we accomplished. And 2022, technically, Levi wanted to start up the UK cut again, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't know what his plan is at home today.
He did the ultimate weight loss. He's not here right now.
He's not here right now. So honestly, he's not enticed by all the food that we have here in the office. But I can imagine Levi is at home right now doing some type of calisthenics, exercising a little bit, doing some squats, using maybe things that he's forged at his home, and things like that. But for the most part, right, me and you both agreed, probably should drop a couple LBs, right?
Yeah.
I went to go put on a Dixon.
I don't think anybody in this shirt is disagreeing.
Well, I went to put on a Dixon flannel this morning, right? My normal large tall. Granted, this one was a little bit tighter fit compared to my others.
Athletic fit.
I did not like the way I looked in it. I said, wow, this isn't good. Right?
Yeah, no.
From a side profile, it didn't look right.
A little tight around the shoulders, but then when you really notice it is the rolls on the side get a roll out.
Yeah.
Roll out. So
no, let's roll out.
Roll out.
Yeah, not the kind of roll out we actually are looking for around here. So after that, I was like, okay, this definitely needs to happen. So my wife did a bunch of shopping this weekend. Got groceries and things like that, so we could maybe not eat out as much, and then start making my lunch every day here, so I'm not enticed to eat lunch. You know who's the worst though? I love her to death. Glenn is the worst.
Oh, Glenn is an enabler.
Glenn is the most enabling person I've ever met in my life, and she's the best. But I mean,
I swear, if you didn't pay attention, you wouldn't necessarily think she's a video editor around here. You would just think she's the person who asks people what they want for lunch.
Every day.
That's like her whole job.
It's not good, right?
because that's the most prominent thing she does every day.
She says, "Hey guys, so what are we doing?
What's for lunch?
What are we doing for lunch today?" Right? And it's never like a super like good healthy option, because let's be honest, that's always boring, right? Yeah. So we're never like, Glenn, a nice salad sounds good. It's never like that. It's always like, well, some Fiesta chicken sounds pretty baller, or maybe we'll go and get some empanadas, maybe some tacos, right? And we'll throw out these options, and it is just a slippery slope. So, Glenn, we love you, but we can't have you enable us anymore, right? Every time we say, what's for lunch, you need to throw a carrot at us.
Glossy Bear got what I was doing.
Roll.
Luda! Okay, yeah.
So, anyway, so we want to get back on the health train here, and then also, set some goals media-wise, right? For the company, and see if we can, venture into new horizons, right?
Yeah.
There's the grass greener on the other side. Will this be the year that we hit 100,000 subscribers, Dane?
You know what's funny? I see a lot of channels do this. There's channels that just like blow up overnight, and they go from like 10,000 to 80 or 90,000 over the course of like 1 or 2 weeks, because they have like a video that just blows the hell up, and it's just crazy. And others are like a long, slow, trudging kind of thing. We've seen channels stall out at like 40 or 50, and they just don't move.
Yeah.
I'm happy to say we've made it beyond that point.
Thank God. I know.
But it is slow
for a while.
It is slow. Because I think one of the things, a little inside baseball here, without Levi here, we're kind of getting into some stuff, because our weekends, we'll talk about our weekends, but as far as covering other subjects, I think we might do some little mini deep dives into other stuff. But the back end of YouTube is not a kind place if you like to switch up your format a lot. It doesn't like that. The algorithm is... It's not very kind to that.
It's not kind at all.
And our videos, if anything, they're consistent in that they have the same people in them, but apart from that, they are all over the place. Yeah. So in terms of production, given the day, all that kind of stuff, they change a lot. But I personally like that. I realize, though, that the mass, audience out there kind of prefers something where it's more familiar, it's more, there's more homogeneity to it. It's kind of just the same, but with different parts slotted in. Like, I love Doug DeMuro, but his reviews are obviously something where it's like it's a formula and it sticks to that formula. Yeah. And you can tell sometimes he gets a little bored with that formula, but at the same time, he tries to keep it interesting by waving his hands more, something like that.
You just know when the good stuff's happening. You skip to the parts. It's like the videos.
If you look at his numbers, YouTube rewards him for that. Yeah. Even if he doesn't necessarily prefer that, like he did a great interview with Matt Farah on the Smoking Tire podcast recently where he kind of talks about that. But it's always interesting to see where people draw the line between, okay, am I just going to pursue what's going to blow the channel up, or am I going to do what makes me feel better going in every day and not getting bored out of my mind doing the same thing every time with slightly different tweaks?
Yeah, but from a viewer perspective, it's nice because
the viewers prefer the sameness.
That like formula, they know exactly. I've watched a lot of videos in my days, guys, and so
What's up, guys?
I think we also know, when we're watching a video, we like to skip right about to that 3/4 part of that video because that's when the good stuff is.
You watch the intro, and then after about 10 to 15 seconds of that, you go, okay, where's this end up? And you click like 2/3 of the way into a video on the progress bar, and you're like, all right. He hasn't moved yet. Sometimes you get a video like that and you're like, oh my God, it's all filler.
Yeah.
We try not to do that. But if there's one consistent thing I've seen in the comments over the years, people complain about you guys talking a lot. And I personally prefer the contextualizing and the explanation for people who are new to this stuff.
Yeah.
But I think there are a lot of people who are familiar with, the products involved or the process or technique involved, and they just want to see you do it because their whole thing, like the people who are always the loudest in comments are the people who want to see you do it so they can immediately call you out if you do anything slightly wrong.
That's true. So you're not wrong there. So
anyway,
back to what's, I guess with the channel, we're gonna continue to try to grow that audience. But I think for this year, I really want to try to hit that 100,000 mark on Instagram.
I think that's doable.
I think
Instagram allows you to grow a little faster.
We're about 14,000 away, and
or at least it used to. Now everything's
I'd like to get there. But one thing I wanted to talk about, and I feel like today's a good time to talk about it. People probably have noticed that we used to do a lot of these towel guest giveaways on Instagram. Do you remember those?
That was. Of course, I remember those.
Yeah, they were a ton of fun, right? And what we would do is we try to do it. I mean, honestly, there was a while where we were doing it every single week, where we were taking towels, stacking them up, having people guess, comment, and it was a really, really, really fun thing.
That ran for about 4 years.
We did that for a while, and then it went from being kind of like an every week thing to every 2 weeks to then once a month and every 2 months, and then it was like once a quarter. So I guess I'll explain the reason why that got so difficult to do. From a product perspective, not difficult at all. We have no problem sending out people, a good handful of towels for winning something. Where it got crazy was the amount of comments, right? Because the idea behind the towel guess giveaway is that the first person to guess the correct amount of towels and be the first person that guess the correct amount that gets to it before anybody else is the winner, right? The problem is we started getting 600 comments, 800 comments, 900, 1,000, 1,200 comments, 1,400 comments, right? And
you have to manually filter through all of those comments and hope that Instagram put them chronologically.
So that's the problem, is that it's not chronologically.
It's not. So it never really screws you up.
And so,
honestly, kind of a waste of time to spend all that time sitting there sifting.
Well, I have to load all the comments, right? And people don't realize that. Like, you think there's an easier way to do this. There's not, right?
And it loads them out of order.
So I have to load them within Facebook now, technically. I have to jump onto the Facebook portion of the Instagram post and then load all the comments there. But it only loads 25 comments at a time, right? Or however many it is. It takes me hours.
Yeah.
Hours
what
to
could
load
you be
up
doing
these comments.
With those hours otherwise?
Well, I load up all the comments, right? And that is if the computer or the web page or whatever it is doesn't time out on me. Yeah. Because sometimes it'll time out on me, or like I've clicked the wrong button and it's like reset everything. And I'm like, no way. I have to do this all again. I have to do all of this again. So
sounds like you're a victim of your own success.
That was the problem. So really, the reason why the Talgas giveaways have been so few and far between is because of how long it takes to do one. And because we wanted it to be this fair system of the first person to guess and have it be this fun thing. But now it's become literally too much work to be able to track down the first person. And that's why nobody does this kind of stuff. Everybody that has large pages.
They do like a randomizer, like an online selector thing, because it's so much faster. Would you rather spend hours making sure you got the first person who said the thing right on the whole list? Or would you rather let a randomizer handle it so you get an answer quickly, efficiently, and you can then go and do all the other stuff you have to do in a day? Because I know it's fun, but on your end of the interaction, you type a comment that's about like 30 seconds of your time at most, and then you go on with your day and do your thing. But on his end, it turns into this nightmare of having to sift through all this stuff when it could be so much simpler. So what's your solution for this?
I don't know, because I've tried so many different things. Like, so I try actually going to like the back end of the website on Instagram, like going up to the source info and pulling comments that way.
Yeah.
The problem is I can pull comments, but they're not time stamped.
Right, yeah. And I need there's always going to be a guy who then goes, I was first. Why'd you pick that guy? And then you have to deal with that fallout of that whole thing. It just becomes more trouble than it's worth. And I'm sorry, but some people make it absolutely annoying as all get out when it should really be a fun thing. It should be a fun thing.
So I love the idea of people guessing, but I think going into 2022, I think all of our...
There it is.
I need to shave my face. I think going into 2022, my plan is that I think it's going to be a randomized guess, honestly. It kind of sucks, right?
I know, and that's not as exciting for people
because
then they feel disincentivized to like get the right answer first. They'll just kind of whatever it in
That's my favorite thing, but there's no easy way to do it. That's what I don't get. So there's generators out there for people to be able to find random comments, right?
But there's no generator that says, find the one that gave this answer first. Like, it would be beautiful if you could have it read like a machine calculation. It just knows.
Yes, I would like to say, hey, what's your search bar? I want to search 1050. Cool. Here's your first result for 1050. Done deal. There's my winner.
Somebody, please invent that. You know how useful that would be?
Just probably for me, but I mean,
my brother could probably show you a very quick like machine learning program or something that could do something like that.
That would make the Talgas giveaways come back, in their full form and be able to make this easy. But like I said, guys, I have not found an easy way. Back when there was 200 comments, 300 comments, I was possible.
Yeah.
But nowadays it's
thousands.
When we're like over 1,400 comments, it's like unbearable to load up all of these and pray that you click not the wrong button.
Like, don't get me wrong. I love the fact that there's so many people interacting with it, even if it's only because they want free stuff. Yeah. But just the fact that they're there and they recognize the Rag Company logo or something like that, that makes me happy.
Yeah.
But as far as getting in there, guys, it's frankly too much work at this point for the amount of, the payoff versus the thing. It becomes difficult to make it make sense.
Yeah. Because I'm like, dude, I just want to give away like 30 towels.
Yeah.
And then I am literally sitting there for 4 hours, 5 hours loading comments. And I'm like, I think that my time of, the company paying me has cost so much more than this giveaway should ever be. So it shouldn't be, it shouldn't be like that. So here we go. Lenny says he lost 25 pounds during the COVID, looking to lose 10 more. Ooh, is that a good weight loss thing? A bad weight loss thing? It sounds like it's good.
Want some, Lenny? I hope you find a friend.
So anyway, moving on. So Dane, I would like to jump into some weekends because I have some more tangents we can jump into. It's a whole fun thing, but I would like to tell me about your weekend. What'd you do?
Well, this is going to be rather disappointing because my weekend was incredibly boring to describe, but it was very productive.
Okay.
It's just there's not a whole lot to
That's all right. Try your best.
So,
see what you got.
Obviously, one of the reasons I was so excited to get my van was for all its hauling capabilities. With that high roof, it's just a baby cargo van.
It is.
With all-wheel drive, and, it's fun. But it means I'm hauling a whole lot of things out of my current house into a storage unit. So that's basically what I did all weekend. And just wash, rinse, repeat. Kept doing that. Tried to donate some items, tried to get more stuff out of the house. I'm really clearing out my house, but I'm trying to keep behind the things that I use every day.
Yeah.
Such as a microwave or refrigerator or TV, Xbox, that kind of stuff is like, okay, those move last.
Yeah.
But everything else, up for grabs. Let's box it, tag it and bag it, take it out. Ooh. And so my storage unit, despite being like a 12 by 20, is looking pretty full now. Like it's got a walking path, but if I keep going the way I'm going, I'm going to run out of that. I definitely can't put any big furniture in there now. So I'm kind of holding out until I lock down the new place and I'm able to take like a couch or bed directly from my current place to there. That's what I'm banking on. And Gabe has agreed to help me by hauling it with his big ATV trailer. It's got a lot of space, so that'd be nice. Only downside is it's open trailer, so I imagine you're going to get a lot of slush kicked up at that thing.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, may not be the best, but that's primarily what I did with my weekend. Not the most exciting, although I will say, in the evenings, when I finish doing that for the day and changing lock sets on the house, putting in new door handles and deadbolts, getting keys set up for the future owner, I try and be responsible, get that set up so it's new and ready for whoever takes it next. My evenings were spent playing video games with you because it was just a nice way to decompress, to unwind.
It's true.
And once again, I'm sorry Levi isn't here, but we hung out online. So we're on Xbox Live. They're playing Forza, playing Halo Infinite, that kind of stuff. It's a good way to just, unwind after a long day.
Yeah, I agree.
So, that was basically my weekend, which is why I was totally open to deep diving into other topics because I know our weekends are going to go pretty quick. But what do you got?
All right. So Friday night, right, New Year's Eve, right, I was getting ready, right?
Yeah.
Put on my finest suit. Mm-hmm. Buttoned everything up. I kind of looked like a young James Bond, right?
Oh, my.
Slicked over my hair, and I went up to my wife. I said, all right, darling, are you ready to go out for our night on the town, right? As I light up my stogie, right? And she's like, you can't smoke that inside the house.
This doesn't
and
sound right.
I said, you can't tell me what to do. So I fire up my my BMW Z3 in the garage, right? Get it warmed up for a night out, going out to clubs, right? And then obviously to fight crime.
This is getting confusing because you don't have a Z3.
Yeah, okay, so all of that I just said was all a lie. None of that actually happened.
You could take my Thunderbird out.
I did get home and change from my jeans into some basketball shorts.
Oh, okay.
And I did put on a T-shirt. And then instead of eating a stogie, I did have a chocolate-dipped pretzel. That was about as crazy as it got. So New Year's Eve, right? Didn't do anything crazy. Like basically, me and my wife said, "Hey, we have the baby. Let's order pizza.
Yeah,
order some wings. Let's turn on a movie. Let's hang out and have fun."
Watch?
Right. So I want to say, what did we watch? Oh yeah, New Year's Eve we watched Encanto.
Oh, nice.
Very cute movie.
You like it?
Very cute movie.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's cute. It is more of a kids movie than the other Disney, Pixar style stuff. But I mean, it was definitely cute. It's a good movie. It had some good little songs in it and whatnot. But we did that, and then I think we started watching something else. Right? Katie was been knocking out the what's it called, Mayor of Easttown.
Oh, okay. Mayor of Easttown.
Maer, right? Mm-hmm. And so she's been
Mare.
She's been really liking that. But we did that, and nothing too crazy. Ate pizza, and then right around midnight, my neighbors decided to start, lighting off every firework, in town.
You're telling me your neighbors were polite enough to wait until midnight to do
that?
No.
They didn't wait until
midnight. Because in my neighborhood,
like
people were doing that ish at 9 p.m. Yeah. And my dog was freaking out, poor girl.
Well, so the fireworks were pretty crazy, but what's crazier is that it was like 6 degrees out. So people were out there in freezing temperatures lighting off fireworks where, more power to you, I guess. But the dogs weren't happy about that. But
do your dogs really freak out from it, or are they more okay with it?
I have one dog that freaks out, and the other dog that's an enabler
who freaks out.
Who just kind of my big dog freaks out, but the little one Huck, he doesn't care. He doesn't care at all. But he likes seeing like the other dog get riled up, You kind of like.
And then he just like feeds on that.
On it.
What a little monster.
Gets him going. No, it was a pretty chill night. And then New Year's Day, like that's where I was like, this is going to be about as lazy as it can be. And Katie agreed too. Basically, the whole town is very cold out right now. All of our neighborhoods are pretty much iced over. The main roads are fine.
Fahrenheit and Meridian.
Yeah. But it's not really motivating to go out and do anything, if I'm honest. So I told Katie, I'm like, hey, I'm going to play video games. I'm going to play some racing sim, Saturday. So that's how I started my morning. New Year's Day, banging gears on the Nürburgring, testing out some new cars that I haven't played before. And I'll say, like, I've never driven in real life or in a video game, the Ferrari 599 Evo. The 599X or whatever you say that. Mm-hmm. That car is insane in a racing simulator. It's absolutely wild. And so I had a lot of fun with that. Set some new lap records, for myself, personal lap records, and then played a little bit of some other stuff. But then I want to say during the middle of the day, started playing Halo. Me and you started talking about what we were going to be playing. We downloaded another game called Back for Blood, right? Which is kind of like Left 4 Dead.
Which I never played the original games. I had friends who played it, but I wasn't super familiar with any of the storyline or any of that stuff. So I was going in totally blind, but it was fun.
So we did that, and then I ended up watching the Suicide Squad 2021 version.
The new one. That's a million times better than the very recent old one.
Man. Dude, that movie is good. It's hilarious.
That's because it's not just a normal DC movie. It's a James Gunn movie.
I know.
So at least he's going to give you something
I wish all
enjoyable.
the DC movies were directed by him. Because it was just a really fun, really good movie. But that was another day of not really doing much. But what was good, Katie went to the store, went to Trader Joe's, got us a bunch of good, healthier options stuff, cleaned out the pantry, got rid of all the old, not good stuff. And,
I've been doing that too.
Tried to replace it with some better stuff.
I didn't replace it with anything.
It was just funny because she's like, "Yeah, I got you a bunch of weird things that you like." And guys, my
fish paste.
No, seriously. So she comes back with sardines. She got me smoked mussels. She got me some type of chili covered pineapple pieces. Dried watermelon jerky, all sorts of weird, strange things that she got.
Watermelon jerky?
Yeah, I brought it with me today, so you can try some.
It's really hang it outside and dry it out?
I don't even know how that works, but it's delicious.
Why do they call it jerky? Because there's fruit leather, that's a thing.
No, this is jerky.
But to call it jerky adds a whole nother layer of what happened there?
Yeah, I don't really know. I think they shrink it. Right? They freeze dry it.
They go out in a field, they shoot it, and then they bring it up and they hang it on the...
Oh, boy. But no, it was just, so just kind of a lot of, changing things out, swapping out with some good foods, healthy stuff. And then Sunday, honestly, another super chill day, more video games. We played more Forza, built fast cars, did stuff like that. And I'm thinking to myself, is there anything I got to do, right? Anything. Yeah. Because I hate, wasting my weekends, especially when it comes to not getting anything done.
You get antsy.
But, dude, there was nothing. I didn't even have to leave the house. I didn't leave the house once.
Man. I should have just asked for your help moving stuff.
Probably should have, Dane, because
I was getting a lot of exercise.
I didn't do crap. I literally was walking around the house thinking I probably should do something. I just don't know what to do because it was too cold to do anything, and I didn't have any errands to run, if I'm honest.
I wore layers. I just said, screw it. I'm going out in the cold. I don't care. I'm doing it.
Yeah. I also didn't want to spend any money, too, because I find that when I go out in the cold like this, it's easy for me to walk into a Best Buy or a Target.
You're going to go in somewhere and then say, how am I going to pass the time?
Yeah, I think I need to buy some things. I don't need to buy anything. No. I have everything I can need. I just need some nicer weather.
You probably got some Christmas gift cards you're looking to spend on stuff.
Yeah, I got a couple. I don't know. Gift cards, I forget that I have them. They go into a drawer, and I wish I remembered that I have them, but they go into a drawer and I forget about them, and then it could be years.
I used to put them into my wallet, but my wallet ended up looking fat. And it was always the hard part with gift cards is they're usually specific. So you can't just go use it willy-nilly. You got to be at that particular place that it's for.
Yeah. but yeah, I just didn't, like I said, I wanted to do some stuff. I wanted to I was thinking about detailing. I was thinking about filming, some cool things, going out and taking photos. But again, I was just super unmotivated with the weather. So again, didn't really do much. But
sounds like Levi was the same way.
Yeah, but Levi probably wasn't feeling good. So
I'm sorry, man.
It's not a good feeling. But what I did do Sunday night. So I'll be honest. I have like this kind of I wouldn't call it an obsession, but I've gotten into this new kick of watching van life builds. Right, so it's
but not like Overlander stuff, like van life in the sense that these people have given up a house, given up property into that stuff. They just live in their van life.
It is very addicting to watch because it's, how do I say this? It's way more interesting than watching somebody like their home, like a home tour. I don't care about homes. I don't care about houses because houses are honestly they're so freaking crazy.
Play this next to when he was house shopping a year plus ago, and put the two side by side and see if it's the same guy.
No, there's things that I want in a house, right? But I don't care to watch videos on houses. Okay. I have no interest in that.
So you're not into like architecture?
Not at all. Literally, I could care less, right? Does the house function? Does it have a roof? Does it have a garage? I'll take it, right?
Four walls with other things, with a big garage door. That's what I hear.
3-car garage, obviously, with a nice flat driveway. But I'm saying that I don't enjoy watching people's solutions about their house. I don't like watching people's decorations about their house. But what is interesting to me is watching them do it on a smaller scale in a van or in some type of adjacent vehicle.
Van life vans. We're not talking the whole like tiny home movement.
No, I don't like the tiny homes. That's still too much of a
houses. They're just on like a flatbed trailer, so it's not quite the same.
The tiny home.
You're talking van life, van conversions of all varying types. Sometimes school buses, whatever. Like people get creative.
The school buses are almost too big.
You're turning more into Ivan at that point.
Basically, I find it interesting how people utilize space on a very small scale. That is interesting to me because you'll watch these builds and you'll be like, oh, there's no way that this van has a toilet. There's no way that this van has onboard, water storage. There's no way that this, small little box truck actually has a bed in it, right? And then it just blows your mind every single time because you're like, oh my God, they did think of this. They did think of this. This is amazing. I would never do that. I would never live in a van.
But there's some part of you that likes the idea of but if I had to, I could totally.
No, because I'm also not handy enough to do any of this stuff.
So you're just purely voyeuristic with this. You just want to watch someone else go through all that.
Pretty much. I just like living through other people's eyes. But the thing is these people that build these vans and these van life things.
Levi's on board.
They I don't know how they know how to do all these things, but they say they do a lot of research. They figure out how to cut the wood. They put the walls in, the insulation. They figure out the electronic stuff. There's no room for Grant Hawtrey's family to live in my van life attic.
That's just called the roof.
But I just think it's really interesting. So I watched a couple of videos, right, that show you the difference of how crazy people get, right?
Yeah.
There is people that live in a car. That's already
not even a wagon, but a sedan.
A sedan. And it seems to me
that is more of a situation of desperation than.
Well, I don't know what it is because they live in the car, but they also don't really have they don't have a set in stone job. They travel and work.
It's more of a nomadic lifestyle.
But those people.
But if you're in a car, that's not comfortable. Unless you're just the kind of person who can be totally free of other things. Personal property doesn't matter particularly much to you except for your car. You obviously got to keep that car running right because that's your whole lifeline. If it gets cold out and you don't have the heater, that's not good.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
The car thing is, again, that's a
recipe for getting pulled over all the time, too.
It's almost like it's too unrelatable, and I think that, that's not a long-term solution for most people. Nobody's going to say, hey, I'm going to live in my car for 5 years.
Well...
Right? I'm sure they do.
There are
I'm sure
people who do that, but it's
do.
not because it's a fun choice
No.
to make YouTube videos. It's more of a choice of desperation, and that's more of a unfortunate side effect of the system.
The talk
of economics.
The talk I'm having right now is for people that choose to live that life.
Right. So you're purely talking about people who make a conscious decision
to live
while having the means to do other things. They choose instead to do this, and that's an important distinction that people need to understand.
So the car situation is hilarious because, the people I've seen are obviously they're smaller people in stature, right? They're usually shorter.
You're not doing that if you're built like an NBA player.
Yeah, you're not like a 6'7" guy living in a Prius, right? So they're smaller in stature. They don't really have a lot of material things. Some of them will have a companion, maybe a dog. Maybe they don't have a dog, but they'll have the general amenities that they'll need within their vehicle to get them, to get it by. But the cars don't really interest me because you're limited with what you can do with just a car alone.
Yeah, you're not building like a platform bed in a car without some serious you're making a choice to pull out seats and create a platform instead. And at that point, why not just take the proceeds from a car and buy a cheap old rundown van and fix it up with junkyard parts or something like at that point, if you're going to do that. And specifically because you're not, say homeless living in your car where that car becomes your home. This is a choice that these people make in this particular case to live in their car as opposed to doing other things that they very clearly have the means to do. They just choose not to do that. That's a different thing. And that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
I think reiterating.
I think where this started to interest me the most, right? Well, I think where this interest started, honestly, is probably back in those early Top Gear episodes where they used to customize their cars and vans and their campers and their Grand Tour. But those episodes where Jeremy would go and take the Hearst or whatever it was and turn it into a luxury day bed situation with beautiful white sheets and curtains and things.
Well, I was as a joke. Now, granted, people have been doing this for much longer than that.
They've been doing it for much longer.
In the 70s, custom vans were incredibly popular.
I know, but I'm saying I was never interested in this stuff until
but you
seeing
weren't interested.
That because I was like, that's fun, that's exciting. But then people took it to a whole nother level with the whole van life thing, and then here we are today. So the car thing doesn't really interest me because you're still limited to a car. You still have to find a bathroom. You still have to shower at other places, right? But where it starts to interest me is right when the shower and bathroom and everything that is included in a build, and that's when I go okay, you've got my attention. How'd you fit everything in there? And how does this work?
You just want to see how they Tetris this whole thing together.
Well, pretty much, because out of every build I watch, I'm always like, where's the toilet? Where is it have one? But what I loved is I was telling you about this.
You want to know how they get it and how they manage to fit a person where it is, because you're just like, okay, headroom, limited. Wall room, limited. How are we going to do this unless you're just out in the open hanging out saying, hey guys, to the other people in the van?
So one of the builds I saw was really funny because the guy was basically saying, he's like, hey, this is my, it was a box truck, right? It was a small U-Haul box truck. And he gives the tour, and he's like, dude, I got my full-size bed here. I have cabinets with storage. I have heated water. I have a diesel heater here in the corner. He's like, I have a full wardrobe. He opens up this thing, and it's a full-on, wardrobe.
I have to ask, does it have windows, or is that a completely enclosed box truck?
So this guy, he built in windows, too. He built in two windows. He has ventilation, no cooling. But
so it's not stealth. From the outside, you would know this is a converted box truck.
No, it was a box truck with windows is all it was.
Okay, but can you see in, or is it tinted?
Tinted windows, right?
Okay. The main reason I ask is the number one issue that all these van life people run into is it's hard to find a place where you're not going to get heckled, hassled, harassed, whatever, for parking a place. Sometimes it's a matter of safety. Other times it's just a matter of the local cops aren't a fan of you parking in a parking lot overnight kind of thing. It's but if you're going to live in this, you have to find places that are safe to do it. And if you go to a campground, you got to pay for it. And a lot of these folks doing the van life thing are trying to find places that they don't have to pay to park in.
Yeah.
Because after a while, that gets expensive.
Yeah. So a lot of people are obsessed with the stealth build stuff because they don't want people to know that they want people to know.
That's why I've been fascinated sometimes by the box truck stuff, where from the outside it presents like a box truck. It's very clearly oh, that's a moving truck.
So Which, I mean, most people could just put moving, vinyls or stickers on it and
totally you can make up like a fake moving company and just
you could totally have that if you wanted to be super stealth. But this particular build, like I was saying, had this full wardrobe. It was beautiful, like wood paneling on the walls, heated floors. And then, he gets to the very end. He's like, all right, so you're probably wondering, where do I shower? This build, I built like 5 of them, doesn't have a shower. I go to a normal truck stop to shower. And he's like,
now you're probably like an easy outdoor shower though.
And then he goes, well, now you're probably wondering where I go to the bathroom, right? And I'm like, well, yes, this is the most important part to me, right? So what does he do? He pulls out a bucket, right?
Oh no.
He pulls out a bucket on a roller, straight up grit guard rollers.
Bet you guys didn't see this coming on a detailing podcast, did you?
But he pulls out this roller, right? And he says, "Hey, so he's like, there's no shame in telling, hey, this is the bucket, right?
Yeah.
He's like,
say no more.
But
Understood.
I love it. He's like, it's a bucket toilet, right? What's the difference?
Wait, so a bucket where some people put a gamma seal lid on, he's just putting a little horseshoe seat on it. Oh no!
What's the difference between a bucket and a bucket toilet? Is there a difference there? Because it's still a bucket.
It's just a bucket, dude.
So he's like, it's not glamorous, but he's like, I don't have to explain any more of this. And I'm like, dude, you don't. Because
you really don't.
You said everything you needed to say, and that's it, right? Where there's other builds, right? Where it can be a guy that was like, hey, man, so here's my van, here's my box truck. The most important thing for me was the toilet, was the bathroom. And I'm like,
that's all you wanted.
And I'm like, yes.
So when you see builds where they skip that, you're like, oh, this is a waste of time.
Well, I love the idea. So most people really go to town about the storage, right? They say, I need storage, right?
All these people doing this stuff are coming up with sometimes very complex ways of inventing storage solutions when it's like, hold on, you started this van life thing because you didn't want to have to deal with as much stuff that a house makes you collect over time. You didn't want to become a hoarder, so you got into the van life. And what do? The very first thing you do is figure out, how can I put enough forms of organization between pockets and drawers and cubbies until I've got more storage than a freaking garage has.
Yeah. So it's where I start. Yeah, I start to.
It just becomes comical to me.
I'm like,
how obsessed they are.
I'm like, this is way too much storage. I'm like, if you have this much material things,
just get into a freaking house.
Then you need to live then you need to live in a house, or you need to have an RV, right? I'm like, dude, you have too much.
Or one of those fun car hauler RVs or whatever.
Toy hauler.
If you have the means to do this and you're simply choosing to go this route, then you can probably afford to do it a little differently. But you know what? Hey, let people have nice things.
Well, they say I'm a minimalist, right? And then they pull out 50,000 drawers of storage stuff. Yeah. I'm like, this isn't very minimalist of you with all this stuff you have.
It's maximalist,
borderline. And so I'm like, what's the point of doing this in the first place? Why didn't you just go buy an RV, right?
But the true test is what are they putting in there?
They don't want an RV, though. They think an RV is a...
well, that's for normies.
That's for normies, right? They want to do...
I'm better than people who buy an RV.
They want to do a custom build. Clearly. But I'm like, dude, but you're basically, at this point, you've built a freaking RV, and they say, I put 30,000 into this build. I'm like, why didn't you just go buy an RV for 30,000?
It's almost like those people who are just contrarian for the sake of being contrarian.
Well, it's like they have to be
different. Any conversation you're having, the person looks over and goes, oh yeah? I disagree. And then the whole thing just turns into a cluster because
I think most of people lie about these
chaos.
They lie about these damn van builds though, because there's people out there that are like, hey, this is my van build. I built this for under $3,000.
And you're looking at it going, there's no way.
With the van included. Yeah. And I'm like, this is impossible. You're full of crap.
Wait, the van no.
Yeah, I'm serious, Dane. They will seriously say.
They're seriously going to look you straight in the eye or straight in the camera and say, I bought this van for $700. And then I spent $2,300 putting things into this van to make it a really nice build. And you're looking going, that is at least $5,000 or $6,000 worth of stuff.
So this is one of my favorite builds I saw. And the best way to explain it is that this guy bought an old FedEx truck, right?
Okay.
So this was what was very interesting.
Now, is this a FedEx box van or one of those specialty FedEx trucks they have the bumpers on them?
Nope. FedEx FedEx box van.
Okay.
But like a big one, right? Like a 30-foot or whatever the heck it was, 20-foot or whatever it was, right? Pretty good size. My favorite part about his, right, was that you walk through to get you, the front door is inside the cab, right? So when you walk into a FedEx truck, you walk up the stair, and then there's the seat and steering wheel. Because there's no passenger seat. Okay. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So basically, you walk into the cab, you step into the cab, right? And then right there to your left is the front door, which would normally be the walk-in for your shelving and all of your boxes back there, right? So what he did is he put in a front door there, like a double-paned front door, but that he treats the cab as his porch. And he has a porch light inside the cab that is his porch, right?
But
so he's like, "This is my porch," and I'm like, "No, this isn't the porch. This is the cab."
But like, you have to drive from there.
Yeah. So which is interesting. So
I was gonna say it's not an open air porch.
So it basically was with the door open because you walk right in. Oh, right?
Is it? So the door is like a sliding door where it, like a pocket door, it just disappears into the body.
So it's like a porch. It literally is. And so, but anyway, he walks in, and it was very impressive, right? Because his kitchen was that of the size of a full-size kitchen. Like, I'm talking butcher block. I'm talking like everything.
So heavy.
Full-size microwave. Like, there's like a full-size sink. And then he's like, yeah, I got like, what did he say? It was something very impressive. Like 90 gallons of onboard clean water.
That's a
and
lot.
Like 40 gallons of gray water. And I'm like,
that's for a journey, right?
I'm like, that's amazing, right? But then his shower, right? Full-size shower from Home Depot. He basically said, hey, everything I bought in this van was bought from Home Depot.
So he bought like one of those shells
for
a shower and just installed it. He just made an RV. That's all he did. He made an RV. But with extra steps.
It was great because this was like the one build that I saw where I said, okay, this is pretty impressive for the money. But he bought everything at Home Depot, full-size shower, shell, right? He bought a full-size toilet, right?
Okay.
Which I was like, okay, he got a full-size, that's amazing, right? With like a door to close that off, like a pocket door, right?
Okay.
And then what else did he have inside there? He had all sorts of like storage for his shoes and everything. But my favorite thing was still had a sound system. He had a TV, like a 42-inch TV. And this is what I love.
This is
all these stupid van life builds I've seen, right? The good ones and the bad ones are all like, I don't need a TV. I don't believe in TV. I built this to get away from television. But I'm like, but wait. You're filming everything, and then you're editing everything.
You're clearly using technology.
But I'm like, you're clearly using all this technology.
And if you're not, you're paying someone else to do it for you, in which case, come on, dude. You've got a social media platform you're on.
That's what I'm saying.
You can't get away doing this.
I'm like, sorry, why does everybody not have a TV in their van life build? Do they feel like it's bad because they have to be so... But like, you're vlogging the whole thing anyways.
No, it's just a disingenuous part of the aesthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is bull. So anyway, this guy was honest about it. He's like, 42-inch TV, surround sound, and subwoofers. I'm like, awesome.
This guy really did make an RV that you could live in. So,
well, he basically said that he built the RV to live in while he goes to flight school, right? So he had like 2 years of college left, and he's like, I'm just going to live at the airport and live in my van.
And they let him park there.
And apparently so.
So he's got it figured out. He's set then.
So it was a really cool build. And my favorite part about it, Dane, that I think that you would love the best, right, is Fletcher. Oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah. That's awesome. The coolest part about this van life, the very back of this build, this FedEx truck build, right, the bed was on a platform stepping up, right? So if the ceiling was, let's just say 7 feet tall, right? Or 8 feet tall, however tall the ceiling was, this van stepped up, or this bed, this queen-size bed, right, was about like 4 feet up, right? About halfway, right? So
4 feet is a lot.
So, right, 4 feet, right? You would think that's quite a bit.
That is a lot.
So this is the best part.
Is there storage underneath it?
Yes, that whole thing flips up. And he's like, so you're wondering probably where all the rest of the stuff is. He's like, I would like to show you my garage. flips up the bed, right? There is another 4 feet of garage space down there with a full bike shop and like these guys mountain bikes and everything under there. And I said, yes, this is what I can get behind.
I appreciate this guy's honesty because as you mentioned, I see a lot of these videos too. And it's always struck me, you know, the people like really trying hard to lay down like this super like relinquish all your things, nomadic lifestyle and like saying, oh, give up, you know, your electronics and your screens and all that stuff.
They don't give up any of that stuff.
You've got a channel, you've got an Instagram profile, you've got a YouTube channel. You're doing stuff here. We all see it.
Yeah, they're using it more than ever, and they're literally just documenting what they're doing for content.
Now, granted,
that's it.
There are plenty of people out there who are just doing this of their own choice.
Off the grid.
And they are literally off the grid. And you know what? You never hear from those people because they're doing their own thing. Only their friends and family know where they are or, you know, what they've built because they're not telling the whole internet about it. But the people who choose to do it this way, you can't come and tell me that you've given up all, you know, earthly things when you're talking right into a Sony A7S III.
Well, and look at the last people that were famous for doing that. Didn't really end too well for them.
No.
Too soon.
Yikes.
Too soon.
Yikes.
Too soon. So anyway, going back, I just think that it's really interesting. Like I said, I like watching this stuff.
Yeah.
Because I like seeing what they're able to do with like the storage. I'll be honest, like Levi said, I really kind of care about what they do for showering and what they do for the bathroom. That's what excites me most because
you like everything, but it hinges on those two things.
It hinges on those two things because then I can think to myself, could I do this? And if I can't see that being a relatable thing, then I think, no, I couldn't do it. But
for the record, you won't ever find yourself doing that probably.
No, but that guy with the FedEx truck said, for what it's worth, he said he built that and he bought the old van. Everything was about $10,000, which I do believe because he said he got the van for like $3,000, so he put about $7,000 total into the van, which I think
to have a functioning RV as opposed to going out and buying your own with like a lot of material compromises and stuff. He did it exactly the way he wanted. And I imagine his labor, he did everything himself.
He did everything himself, and he said he got the van for so cheap because it was a manual diesel FedEx.
Is it turbo diesel or just NA diesel?
I don't know if it was a turbo diesel. I think it was just an NA diesel, but he said
how
that
old or new it was.
It was old, but he was a manual though. So he's like it sold for cheap because it was a manual. Nobody knew how to drive it.
Nobody wants to do this. Wants to drive a manual one of those. Interesting.
But like I also can't. But he bought it literally just to live out of in the same spot.
Because
which is an interesting
the manual
approach.
Doesn't impact him as much when he doesn't have to do it every day.
Because he doesn't have to leave, right? It's the people that have to, how do I say this? It's the people that have to like travel with their vehicle. Yeah. I always wonder, you've chose a good spatial, right, amount of space for your build, but is the damn car you chose good enough to be the car that you want, right? Like the Sprinter van. We already know that a Sprinter van is great, right? Those Mercedes motors are going to run forever.
Anybody who's gone inside of any of those after it's been converted, even on like a lower end conversion, they feel very solid compared to...
I'm saying from a driving experience, a Sprinter van is a good driving experience. Yeah. It's got plenty of power for what it needs, and it's going to be reliable, right? For the
older ones kind of mixed bag, but newer ones, they're better.
And the new Mercedes,
and the Ford Transits are very solid choice.
Very solid, but that's what I wonder. I'm like, hey, are you choosing the most reliable vehicle for this? What's weird to me is these people, they get off on the whole budget thing. Like, hey, I bought this thing for as cheap as I could possibly buy it. But when I'm like, so you're going to put $8,000 to $9,000 or $10,000 into a $2,000 van or a $2,000 bus or a $2,000. I'm like, aren't you worried about the mechanical issues that you'll eventually have?
I mean, if it's old enough, they're mechanically simple to the point you can generally replace stuff. Although it's not as true as it used to be because a lot of those replacement parts for like 50s and 60s and 70s vehicles, those supplies have kind of dried up as the market base for those has started to move on. I mean, you kind of start to see that stuff going away, which is one of the reasons I was a little terrified when I got the T-Bird. Like, is stuff still around? Because I know like muscle cars and 60s nostalgia, stuff like that was hitting its peak in the 90s and the early 2000s. People were paying insane amounts for like 60s muscle cars and stuff. And this is even a little before that. But that time has come and gone. It's 2022 now.
Yeah.
There are still people obviously interested in that stuff, and they will be until the day they die. But, that audience is getting a little older now. So it's as the market dictates, they're not going to be making as much of that stuff to replace the old parts for them anymore. And eventually, you're going to be scrapping up what you can find.
Yeah. Again, I don't know. I said I don't think there'd be no reason for me to ever live a van life ever. But
you like the idea of if I had to, I could.
Well, it's more of like, dude, like what I would have to be literally. I would have to have a, what's it called?
You, Katie, the baby, and 2 dogs all in a little van.
Dude, I don't even know what that. It would be like a midlife crisis, like to the max, right? I'd say, guys.
You just have a full-scale freak out, and you're like, I'm bugging out.
Well, but most of the people I see doing this are single people, right? So I think to myself, if I was single, if I never had a family, if I had to do this, what would be the way I could do this?
Or they started the trip in a couple, but they ended it single.
Or
that.
Or none, right?
Yeah, not good.
Yeah.
Not good.
So, again, too soon.
I'm saying some negatives here.
But, like, what I've seen before that I actually really like the idea of, is I can see this, right? Because I would have a very hard time relinquishing my material things.
Yeah.
Right? Because I like my material things. Like, I like the cars, I like motorcycles, I like, electronics, I like things like that. So I think to myself, how could I at least own something cool that wasn't just a van? Right?
You do a bus with a garage conversion in the back that holds your bikes.
So, but that's the other thing. I also don't want to own a big bus.
Yeah, and then where do you park it? How do you navigate traffic? How do you do any of that stuff?
I hate the idea.
Big long rear overhang.
I hate the idea of having a big vehicle like that.
And you don't want to tow a trailer.
So this is my thing. What are those like GMC vans that are longer? It's like a van,
like cargo van, GMC vans.
What are those called? They're called Savannas.
Well, you had Savannas.
Savannas, right?
And then you had Safaris and Savannas, and
So something like that.
Or Chevy Express van is the same thing.
Something like that, right?
All competitors at the Ford Econoline.
That's not super big, right? But what I would want is probably 2 doors in the back that open up with a kick-out ramp, right? That I could fit a leader bike into, a motorcycle. One motorcycle, not 2, just one.
What if you got like a wheelchair converted van that you could then use the ramp from that?
I don't know, something like that. But I'm saying I could live in a van in a normal, it could be just a normal twin bed. I don't need a full size. I don't really move that much in my sleep. I could get away with a twin if I had to, right? So it would be...
Is your wife going to mind?
No, I'm saying if I was a single guy. Okay, I'm saying if I was a single guy, right? No, not me and my wife.
Yeah,
right?
no.
I'm saying that if I was on my own, right, and if I didn't have a family, I would never do this with a family. But I'm saying if I was on my own, it would be a twin bed. I would have probably the motorcycle next to me on the other side of that twin, because I'm not letting that sleep outside, right? Because what I would do...
You sleep on a twin next to the twin-powered...
So whatever bike that is next to me, Dane... It's
the R9T.
It's going to be the nicest damn bike I could probably buy.
Okay.
So people are going to be like, Anthony, is that a M1000 RRR? Is that a $60,000 motorcycle?
Yes,
and I'm going to say, yes, it is.
Here in my $7,000 van.
Yeah. They're going to say, so wait, so you spent all of your budget on the motorcycle? I said, yes, this is what was important.
And making sure that the ramp mechanism I use was 100% guaranteed to work.
So,
because anything short of that, it wrecks my baby.
How it would work for me is bike would go up inside there. It would be a very nice motorcycle, really, really nice. I would have on the back of the door a spot for all of my detailing supplies, right?
We're still doing detailing at this point.
Yes,
I'm not in the apocalypse.
I'm not giving up on that, right? At least just bottles of O&R, like countless bottles of O&R. But I would have that, and then on the other side of the door, I would have my shower, which would be a curtain rod assembly that would curtain rod around, and then I would do a pump and pump water. But then in the front passenger seat.
Well, in 20 years when there's wars for water, that's not going to be a very popular position to take.
But unlike most people, I don't expect to have passengers inside this van, right? There is no passenger seat.
You're going to be a very lonely guy doing this.
No. The passenger seat is the toilet. Right?
Oh, no, you're like, it's still a seat. You just cut a hole in the middle of the cushion.
So,
that can't be sanitary.
So basically, what I have is I have a good bed. Okay. I have a spot for an awesome motorcycle. I have a place to shower. I have a bathroom up front, right next to me. So
that wouldn't work in my van because you're literally sitting right over the wheel well. You imagine the kind of damage that does. That's horrible. This hot engine. That's horrible. Don't do that.
It smells horrible.
This podcast has gone off the rails.
And then I guess in the front of the bike, right, maybe like right behind the toilet, I would have a kitchenette.
Oh, okay. Don't put them too close together. Really try and separate those things out.
It sounds like I need to watch more videos.
It sounds like you need to develop a better plan. This.
But I think maybe down the road, right? We've had the cheap car challenge, right?
Well,
what do you guys
Levi
think?
Pointed out.
We've had the cheap car challenge. Yes, exactly. So, do like our next cheap car challenge. So basically, we are doing van life builds.
We're all turning into carpenters, building our sleeping platforms.
So funny because the thing is, honestly, I think Gabe would be like. I think he'd be chomping at the bit.
Gabe would want to compete in that. He could take my place if he wants to.
He's like, wait, so you're saying I get to chop wood and drywall and build a house inside of a van? And we're like, yes. He's like,
oh my God.
He's like, oh my God. He's like, I'm going to Home Depot right now. But Gabe, we haven't even gotten the vans yet. He's like, I don't care.
He just shows up in his converted 100 Series Land Cruiser. It's like, that's cheating.
Yeah. So I don't know. I really don't know what we would do, but that would be pretty fun. I just don't ever think we'll ever be able to stumble across a van for that cheap.
That would be fun, but the problem is not only does it have very little to nothing to do with detailing, so it'd be a hard sell on our channel, it would also have the borderline problematic effect of reducing the value of the vehicles we get as opposed to making them better and trying to resell them, because good luck reselling something that you cut a toilet into. Just saying.
Okay, no. So you keep saying that I'm cutting a toilet into this. I'm not cutting a toilet into this. I'm taking a full-size toilet and I'm simply attaching it to the seat brackets and then cutting a hole.
Alex is right. Just make sure you get the titles this time. You hear that, Levi?
Well, so I guess what I'm wondering though, right? If I were to put a toilet, hear me out on this. Because I don't know how this works. If I were to put a toilet into a van, and attach it to the
Fiat
floor,
Multipla.
Right? So
van life build.
Listen. I attach my toilet to the floor of my van. My van does have a hole in the floor, right?
You're not a cruise ship. You can't do that. Cruise ships shouldn't either, but they do. Airplanes do that too.
If I had water in the top of the toilet, right? Is that considered a gravity fed situation? So when I flush,
so you're doing like old English style where the tank is hanging up on the ceiling.
I'm wondering. Does a toilet with no water pressure to it and just water in the tank? You can
do a gravity feed.
Yeah. Does that have enough power to flush things out?
I mean, it's just physics. Yeah.
So
you could. The problem is when you're driving, that's adding a lot of weight up high. Yeah. Is your vehicle fairly low to the ground, or do you have like a lot of top heaviness going on?
It's a Savannah van.
Okay, it's going to be stable. I might, put some spacers on, kick out the wheels, tires a little bit. Although then you run into issues with the sliding door potentially hitting. Although if it's a Savannah van, sometimes they had workman-style doors where they didn't have a sliding door and they just had fold-outs. In which case, your rear tires sticking out would be fine.
Well, I just want to... So that's
you want stability, though, going down the road.
What is the problem?
You don't want that thing tipping over.
Saying, what is the problem if I was driving down the road and simply flushed it while I was driving?
Wait a second. Are you saying that the driver's seat is now
No. So I'm
Who's driving?
I'm saying, Dane, I would go and then I would say, close the toilet seat and then start driving and then reach over and flush the toilet. What happens? It just goes underneath the car?
The person behind you does not have enough windshield wiper fluid to handle what comes
But that's not my problem, right?
That's their problem, but it should be your problem. You shouldn't be doing that to people.
I fail to see the part where that's my problem because I'm nomadic. I'm now traveling from state to state. What does it matter if I'm flushing the toilet in random cities that I don't live in?
I'm pretty sure that just counts as illegal dumping or something.
Okay, so a cop is actually gonna pull me over and say, "Hey, sir, so we found some evidence back there that led us to you."
They'll DNA match that stuff. You're in trouble, buddy.
But I'm nomadic. I'm on the road, and then worst case scenario,
they don't care. A ticket and a fine or a ticket and a fine.
Yeah. So
whole podcast has become.
Sorry, I didn't mean to turn this into something super crude. I guess what I'm.
I said we deep dive. I just didn't know it would be here.
I just don't. I see these builds, right, where I see people. They say, "Oh, this is all my gray water," right? I understand that you want to recycle your gray water and you want to dump that off or your brown water, or whatever the heck it is, right? Your black water. But what I don't understand is for these people that essentially live in the woods, right? And they have these toilets, and I'm like,
oh, Levi,
what's the problem with just dumping this out in the woods? Nobody has an answer for me.
If they're in the woods on public land, it's much harder to stop you then.
Well, okay.
But when you're doing it in the middle of a city, driving around, and there's traffic bumper to bumper, and you're just dumping on the tires, that is not a situation could do on a hot day.
No. So the thing is, you're in a Walmart parking lot, right? The Walmart parking lot already sucks, right? You're not making it that much worse. So I just don't.
Oh, imagine the poor motorcyclist behind you.
Okay, so that would suck, right? But the thing is, if it happened to me tomorrow...
Alex is right. Just put a school bus sign on the back that says stay back 500 feet. This vehicle stops at all railroad crossings. Whatever you got to put on the back, the red and white stripes.
I will have... So, actually, what's better is instead of flushing it the old-fashioned way, I would have a bucket that says ejectocito.
No!
So,
Ejectocito.
Ejectocito, cuz... Bam!
I'm sorry to everybody who thinks you're getting a mature conversation here. Sometimes this is where it ends up.
Okay, Nick is telling us we need to
imagine that.
Start wrapping this up. But guys, come up with a good solution for our van build someday, right? Or at least tell me where this is a problem, right, with these ideas I have, because I just don't see the problem with it. And we'll go from there. So any last words, Dane?
Oh, well, as much as I appreciate Alex's comment, I'm probably not going to put that off, although Shelby does appreciate starting off the weekend with some laughs. So you know what? New year. Come up with some creative solutions for how you handle the unspoken problems of van life builds. I think that's the message, the lesson we're leaving you with here. Apart from that, I will say make sure you subscribe to the Right Company podcast, where you can hear more of these wonderful conversations that probably shouldn't exist, but they do anyway. It's fun. We're just figuring it out as we go along here. Another thing I'd also point out is that this Wednesday, they will be doing a live detailing session of some sort, as we've been doing the past few weeks. We had a couple weeks off there, but they're going to be going back into it, so look out for that. And of course, on Thursday, Q&A Thursday happening, as it always does, but one for the new year. So look forward to that. Hopefully we're able to get Levi back in by then. If not, well, you can look forward to more chats like this. Or not look forward to it. Depends on your perspective. But anyway, guys, have a great week. We'll catch up with you later. Take care.
See ya.